Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of The Beauty of Grey. Hello, Michelle.
Hello.
Hello, Jake.
Hello.
So, for today's episode, we are going to talk all about spooky season because when this episode airs, it is going to be Halloween. And I have a feeling that this is probably, I don't know, Jake, it may be your favorite holiday. Michelle, I'm like 99.99% sure this is your favorite holiday. I may be wrong. Maybe it's Christmas. I don't know.
You
So,
might be right.
so let me ask you both, like, what is it about this season that excites you? And Michelle, we'll start with you.
Well, I mean, first of all, like October is just inherently in itself just a different sort of feeling of a month. Like, yes, it's like it's cooler outside and the colors change and the overall vibe is just spookier. And I love that. I love everything that has to do with anything that is spooky and dark and creepy and all that fun stuff. But also like we're this is the time, especially for witches, where we're honoring our ancestors um and just like the veil is thinner, so like we get to do a little bit more, like involved with things a little bit deeper. I don't know, I love everything about it, even just like the hokey stuff, like the traditions about the costuming and getting together with friends and watching scary movies, even though nobody will watch scary movies with me because nobody likes them, but that's okay.
I think Jake and I both like scary movies. Did you send
Well,
us an
then maybe
invite?
we should get together and
Did
do
you
that
send us an
because
invite? No.
listen, I just automatically assume nobody likes them as much as I do. And I
Oh
like
my God.
I fall asleep to these things. It's like comfort movies for me. Like
I
The
love
Shining
that.
is a comfort movie for me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I see that
It's one of
one.
those. Thank you. And thank you.
Yep,
Anyway,
totally see that
so
one.
yeah.
So, Jake, what is it about Halloween and also watching scary movies do you enjoy?
Oh well, watching scary movies, I feel like the scary movie thing is kind of the same thing as like why people love to ride motorcycles or even do
Mm.
roller coasters. It's like that thrill
Hmm.
of being alive, right? um
Yes.
that's
It's
why
like that
I really like it.
uncomfortable feeling that you're like, what's next? What's next?
Yes,
Yes.
it's just this like it's this cold chill of a thrill feeling that
Mm.
you get when you watch the scary movies. You're actively participating in suspended reality to be along for this ride, right?
Yep.
um yeah, gosh, the list kind of goes on for my love with October and the Samhain time. Chief, I mean, I think as a kid I always loved Halloween. That was really my time to shine, even before any of this for me. And this was also the time of year where I started stepping into my craft for the first
Mm.
time,
Mm.
learning. Um, so, and then over the years, especially developing my abilities with spirit work. No coincidence, the thinning of the veil for October, especially even into the winter time.
Hmm.
This is definitely from September all the way until like February are really like my time to thrive. Um, I think that it just really gives you that sense of having to tuck back, hibernate,
Hmm.
let the cauldron simmer, and just get really tucked up and cozy, especially when the weather forces you inside. I love to be very just introspective, journaling, creative, really that kind of delicious, kind of self-indulgent stuff at home. Uh,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
just think that this season just really calls for that, and
Hmm.
it's my favorite.
I think it's also a good time. I don't know about you guys, but like Jake said, this is when you really dive deeper into your practices. And Michelle, I would imagine you're probably doing the same thing with your spell work and with just whatever, modalities that you're currently working with. And I feel like this is when I've been drawn to other modalities. Now, let me ask you this question. Have you guys ever encountered somebody who is totally against Halloween and feels like it's the devil's work?
Yep. Oh yeah.
So I have to
Sorry.
share with you guys.
Mhm.
So I'm from Georgia, even though Jake denies it.
Yeah.
And I I was raised in a very religious Christian household. And for many years, we were not allowed to celebrate Halloween. And it was the devil's work. But I will tell you that we all snuck out and we all went trick or treating and we would hide underneath
Yeah.
porches. And and for me, like Halloween, this is just such a fun, like I think it brings me back to being playful and really
Mhm.
like that energy of just like it's almost like that tricky energy,
Mhm.
like ooh, what can I do to be a prankster? Like
Yeah.
it's just and it's fun. Like it reminds me that to bring me back to my childhood, you know. So what else for you, Michelle? Like what do you do in this time of year that you love?
Well, to kind of step off of what Jake was saying, that like, because I mean, like it, I always try to tell my students that, especially when you're practicing, you want to be able to follow nature and figure, like, so now is the time to kind of go into that hibernation mode.
Mm,
And it's wonderful because, like, look, like I will always be like talking about like that feeling of being a kid again type of thing. I love being cooped up in my space and having all of my books all over the place, and candles going, and some like hot tea and all that stuff, like, and just like communing with the spirits. It's so much fun. And like and just diving into those that kind of that I don't know, that things that everyone that thinks that are scary. Like, because I grew up Roman Catholic, and like, now granted, we were allowed to experience Halloween and dress up and
mm.
all that stuff. Like, it wasn't considered the devil's work or anything like that. But I mean, I think that's also probably why I was like, it's fine. I can be a witch. It's fine. So like, this just really does call on this time of year. Is just, it's so comforting for me, and it is such a, like, so many people get like that, how, and there's nothing wrong with that, but so many people get so upset when summer's over with, and I'm
Mm,
just like, no, let everything just get cold and dark and dreary, because that is when I feel most creative. That is when I
Mhm.
feel most like, if when it comes to like doing spells and things like that, like, it's like, so Jake, I totally completely adhere to what you're saying. Like, it's just diving into that energy is just one of my most favorite things. Like, I'm the type of person that loves like those gloomy days. Like, that's like
Mhm.
blustery outside and it might be a little bit rainy, and it's just like, it's the perfect like atmosphere for a scary movie type of situation, where you're like, I don't know, is Michael around the corner? I don't know. But
I
it
hope
just is
so.
what I know. I hope so.
but
I love it.
but don't
Oh
you think
gosh.
that there's like I always feel like there's such a static in the air, around this time,
Yes.
in this, like, I don't know, people, well, yeah, you can call it gloomy, this rainy, moody
Yes.
place. But I think it's a really such an important time, because I mean, especially as somebody who observes the seasons of the year, and looking at
Hmm.
that as kind of this being the time that Mother Nature kind of goes into hibernation,
Yep.
and in some different mythos believes that in some way that she dies to rebirth in the
Yes.
spring. So I've always kind of really loved this time of year. If you think about it, it's kind of like the necessity of having to sleep, resting at night, where
Hmm.
you regenerate, where you heal the body, taking care of yourself. So I think that all of those things, that self-care, that staying kind of tucked inside, journaling, reading, really kind of taking care of yourself, becoming introspective, I think all of that stuff is very conducive to that kind of slumber
Yeah.
energy, right? Um, I think it's a great time for people to slow down. And I think that a lot of times, a lot of my clients have a hard time and struggle with slowing that
Hmm.
down, and almost having to spend more time alone.
Yeah.
And there's various different reasons for that, but I think that it's such a good opportunity to slow down and get to know yourself, to go back over, what of the whirlwind of the past couple of months that was spring and summer did I
Hmm.
just experience, and almost kind of have the opportunity to integrate it, you
Yeah.
know? Um, yeah, it's a really magical is really the best word that I can use to it. But again, there's this electricity in the air that is just, if you are somebody who is witchy or magical, aligned with energy or spirit, it just pulls you in.
I
Yeah,
will say that
absolutely.
this time of the year is when my energy healing is the most potent. Like,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
also and I like the fact that you both have brought this up, like you go within. Like, I do a lot of energetic meditations, and they're like aligning my body, putting my higher self in a safe space, like really being connected to my multi-dimensional being, and
Mhm.
just really like kind of traveling with that energy. And I think for Michelle, like when you were talking, like as I was hearing you, it just seems like this is your most authentic time of the year. And this is like your true
Yeah,
self. And it just, and
100%.
probably for you too, Jake. And it's like, it's a beautiful thing to like watch you talk about it and how excited you are. Like, yeah, this is me and this is what I do when I love spooky season and I love the
Mhm.
gloominess. And I'm like, I love the sun, but that's okay. Like,
Exactly.
but I
That's
just,
exactly.
but I love like you guys, like honestly, like Michelle, like you just feel like when you're saying it, it's like you're true, authentic, like this is you.
Yeah.
And you're,
Mhm.
and I also want to say, like, because when you were talking too, like being a witch, I know sometimes you guys can have a stigma against it and your
Hmm.
practices, and you're like, no, I'm gonna own this aspect of myself, and everyone else can kick rocks. And I think it's admirable that you both are willing to be like, to show your true selves and be like, yeah, this is what I do and this is what I love. And if you don't like it, I don't care.
Yeah,
Like Jake's like,
absolutely.
whatever.
I know.
No, 100%. And I think that even just like in like this modern time, like the whole archetype of being a witch is really so much of a socio-political position as well. And that's
Yeah.
an essay for another time. But it's such a powerful archetype of powerful position to be in, especially in the way that we can kind of inform our communities, inform the people around us. You know, witches have always been viewed as the ones that always have the secrets, the ones with the records, the ones with the unknown truths.
Mhm.
So always kind of those lighthouses to kind of tap in and be like, okay, well, let me peek past the veil right here and let's get into the nitty gritty of stuff. What's really going on? So I really enjoyed that aspect of here too. Um, what about okay, we have to talk about what is everybody's favorite. Are there tools, crystals?
Oh,
What is like your thing that like you just get
Mm.
pulled to?
Jake, I love this
Well,
question. Michelle's already like, let's
I
go.
know. I'm
Let's
like, I'm looking at
go.
all of the things that I have
Let's
on my
go.
altar right now. Oh my God, like all of it. Just like anything that's like, I mean, okay, look, this is year round anyway for me. Anything that is like when we're talking about crystals, like obsidian and smoky quartz and things that are all very like dark and um, but just oh, this is actually kind of difficult because I usually before okay to kind of touch back onto what we were saying before, like I try to be authentically me year round.
365.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. But when it comes to this season, it's like it's giving because everybody else is more accepting of it.
Mhm.
So I feel like I don't have to explain myself ever. Not that I have to explain myself, but like it's when people that don't usually get it, they're like, oh, okay, well, like here's their time to be kind of creepy and spooky or whatever. And you're like, honey, I am like this all of the time. You're welcome. So like when we're talking about my favorite things, like I have like I constantly have black candles out all the time. I'm constantly like, I have, I was just like, I was looking at all of my stuff that I have in my little corner. Things that like, I love bats and I love, like
Mhm.
what they represent. And I love obviously the moon and like, and just everything that is supposed to be dark and scary and things that people are afraid of. But in the meantime, I'm just like, but look at the beauty within that. Like, snakes are supposed to be horrifying, but I freaking love them. Like I just, like
God
things
bless
that are
you.
just
God bless you.
like things that like
God
now
bless
look,
you.
and like I'm also like I'm afraid of spiders. Spiders freak me out. But if they're
Jake's
small
like,
enough, I'll be like, go ahead, little one, out the door. And I even like the other day we were there was a little jumping spider when we were outside, and I was like, oh, hello, little friend. Please don't come near me and get in my hair, but hello. Like, but things like that stuff is like my favorite stuff. I love working with things that people find scary.
Mhm.
I love all
but
of
the
that.
thing
When
is,
it
they're
comes to
not
my
scary to
practice,
you. They're not
they're
scary to
not.
you. Like you're bringing it to a more like, guys, there's no reason to be scary. Let's normalize these
Exactly.
things.
And like
Yes.
spirit communication and things like that. Like it's like the veil is thin. Like
It's a
There's nothing
time.
wrong with,
Yeah.
maybe trying to do a little bit of mirror scrying and see if you can communicate and like do it safely, please, for the love of freaking everything holy.
Or
But
just
like,
connecting. Just connecting.
yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think, anyway, but
Jake, what
I
about
guess
for
I kind of
you?
answered yours.
Because you lit up about spiders. What about you,
You
Jake?
did.
He did like I like spiders. I don't like
Oh my
snakes, but I
God.
like spiders. Spiders are cool.
Spiders
I
are cool.
feel I feel like being so into this journey now, and perhaps it's maybe even my study of tarot or study of just magical symbols, icons, things like that.
Mhm.
I feel like it's really been such a blessing because I have really learned to fall in love with those things that people really kind of demonize,
Yeah.
right? The archetype of the snake, the archetype of the
Yes.
spider is such an integral piece to the universe, right? Because the spider is the web, it's the
Mhm.
universe, it's all
Yeah.
synchronistic events. So I it's really always fun and interesting to see, how all the things that we normally equate with Halloween, people are so frightened of, but
Mm,
there's so much powerful psychological things behind that, right? Like,
Yeah.
we can sit here and analyze the archetype of Frankenstein or the werewolf, the
Yeah.
vampire. Gosh, I have such a love and appreciation and adoration for the mythos of vampires, and I
Yes.
have really benefited great deal deeply in my practice by working with them as an energy, choosing to walk with them in that way. It makes me feel giddy.
I know. I love it so much.
I have to say,
Yeah,
what I really like is grounding crystals. Like, like
yeah.
you guys
Mm.
brought up, like smoky quartz, shungite. I do kind of feel like you both have mentioned this about returning to the season, and I
Mhm.
feel
Mhm.
like it's like getting yourself grounded, getting yourself centered, and really being firmly grounded and rooted. And how I do that is with grounding crystals. And the other practice that I do, and this is with the veils being thin, is connecting with ancestors. Like, this is
Mhm.
a really powerful time that you can connect with ancestors. One of the ladies that I know, she's also a practicing witch. She's like every night she's picking a different ancestor, and she's like, it's a different dessert, and tonight's is cherry pie. Like, and I
I
love that
love
she
it.
put it that way. It was just, but it's a good reminder of, you both brought it up, like connect with the
Mhm.
spooky, connect with your grandma, like you love your grandma, connect with her.
Exactly.
And let's
Yeah.
speaking of spooky, Jake, we know that you just finished a course for ghost hunting, and
I
we
Oh
want to
love
yeah.
it.
hear all about this because we know it's
Like he
cool and
forgot.
amazing. And Michelle and I are gonna sit here with our jaws wide open and tell us
So
all about
excited.
it.
I'm
Oh my
so
gosh.
excited.
And I'm like,
Good job.
Yeah. Yeah, so last night we officially wrapped up. I took the course. It's was at Hudson Valley actually, and I didn't know that this was such a commonly held course. But paranormal investigator, his name is Jack Kenna. He teaches a fall class and a spring class, so an intro and then like an advanced one. And so it was really fun because you learn all of the essentials of equipment, how to conduct a really sound investigation, from research and designating different parts, assembling a team, and the importance of having separate people doing different things, gathering research, somebody who understands and handles the equipment, somebody who is not afraid to interview the people of the space, the land, the house, whatever that might be, and also how much time and energy goes into analyzing all of this evidence. We did a 4-hour hunt, and in those 4 hours, there's about 16 hours worth of audio and video to go through, because it's my phone recording, and then it's the tape recorder recording, a video camera recording. So you're combing through these things, and some really fascinating stuff did come through. Um, so we investigated the Shaker Historical Society,
Mm.
which was such an interesting experience. It's one thing for me, as a psychic, to do my walkthroughs, which I already do often. But to look at it from an investigative point, I always find it so stunning, when you can catch these things on video or in audio. We captured an audio clip where we're in the main building where they would dance, and they had like the pews there so people could come watch and observe them while they celebrated. Um, so I was upstairs, and it was my mom also took the class. That's our idea of family bonding.
I love
Um,
it.
love it.
So she was downstairs and she had played music for the spirits just to see if we could prompt, a response and just having conversation. A couple minutes later, all of a sudden, in the audio recording, music plays, but it was not the same song, and you can hear it clear as day. It was a much more slow, much more kind of chanty kind of. Oh, it almost kind of reminded me of like a Gregorian chant almost, in the way that like it was very slow and sultry. Which does make perfect sense because I think her name's Johanna, the one that is the manager of the Shaker Place. Um, she said that a lot of the music that you look up on YouTube now is very much faster, is faster and more up tempo than what they actually realistically listen to. But it was so clear as day, which would be classified as a class A EVP.
What for those that don't know, what is an EVP?
Oh, sure. So it's an electro voice phenomenon, and there's multiple different classes of EVPs, but essentially there is, your class A's where it's a disembodied voice, people hear it, or sometimes one person will hear it and it's caught on video, but nobody else hears it.
Oh.
Then there's, class B where you can hear it on audio, but we're all kind of not quite sure. We've got different grasps of like what we think it says. And then there's of course the class C where like you hear it, but you can't really make heads or tails of what it is, but you know that it's something. So EVPs are great, and anybody could really do this with any technology. You can use your phone. Voice recorders are super cheap. eBay, Amazon, all of that good stuff. You can go out to really anywhere. I mean, being in Albany, there's so many historical haunted places where you can just sit down and have conversation. But one of the things that we learned in this class was the importance of having like coherent questions, right? So not saying, what was your favorite color? And then immediately going,
Yes.
how did you die?
Oh,
Or what's my
God.
name? But you have to understand though, actually so much more common than what you would think, because I've been to other investigations where they are very disjointed like that. But if you think about it, it's like doing a science experiment and not wearing gloves. You're cross contaminating everything. You can't make anything coherent. So really fun stuff, really interesting stuff. I met a lot of very interesting spirits there. There was one woman in the farmhouse who told me that she saw auras when she was in the human world. She was able to see auras and interpret energy like that. However, she did say that she didn't necessarily in that life buy into that spirituality that the Shakers were kind of said to have had, of that communion with spirit. She was telling me that she was actually very convinced that it was a little, yeah, no, it was a little shaky. Pardon the pun.
I know, it was like cigarette shaky.
But I'm chair.
Yes. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it was really quite beautiful because I encountered a couple different energies who really kind of gave me the long and the short of it was that they didn't necessarily have a place to go, and this was a place that accepted them, gave them a job, gave them food, and it was a reliable place to go and lay their head at night, right? Despite the trials and tribulations, despite getting the absolute hell beat out of them several times by the community, which, put a pin in that, is so fascinating to this day to actually see all the different buildings and all the different things named Albany Shaker Road, all these different things with Shaker in it, when at the time they were absolutely like actively getting beat in the streets just for being the way that they were.
Wow.
Yes,
I worked at an
yes.
assisted living called Atria Shaker.
Yes, it's so crazy. A lot of them really like through the village, through the towns, beaten, hit, jailed, even.
Wow.
So it's such an interesting thing to see how history kind of changes afterwards, and now all of a sudden we've got things named after them. Um, that's something to sit back and be tickled by. Um, but yeah, so I really loved it for really kind of having a look at that format, and then also understanding the equipment, because listen, I've been to investigations, I'm here for the spooky, but I couldn't fucking tell you one thing about the EMF reader or anything like that, and I know that some people are dying to know that. But so I'm very excited for us to go off and have some kind of experience with that.
I really like the idea of, let me ask you this, Jake. I like the idea, like everyone had an assigned role. Like
Yeah.
you're going to do the research, you're going to do this, you're going to be the psychic medium reading the energy. Like I love that, because I feel like for us, and I know we want to do a ghost hunt, like we can all pick up a different role, and it's like Rachel will do
Absolutely.
the research. Like I
Mhm.
love this. Like this, I'm like,
Yes.
I can actually participate. Like
Yeah. It gives such a structure to it.
100%.
And also gave me such an appreciation because most investigations go on over several days.
wow.
But mine was in 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
So it was really interesting, just the evidence that we picked up alone then, but to actually step back and appreciate, oh my gosh, this is over several days.
Wow.
Yeah.
But now I do think there is something to be said in regards to investigations versus hunts, ghost hunts, which are
Mhm.
very different. And by that I mean ghost hunts would be events curated where the public can maybe come stay at a haunted place, or maybe they come in, they get to play with equipment, talk to spirits, probably poke at them, do things that might kind of riddle the energy a little bit,
Yeah.
and can often really get into that territory of being quite disrespectful,
Yes.
which just as somebody who really just spirit is just very near and dear to my heart, I hate to see. And actually, if anybody has Garrett Jackson on Facebook, he is a shaman
Mhm.
and does that practice, and he's been talking a lot this October about kind of the ethics around ghost hunts and investigations, which I think is really fascinating. So if anybody wants to look into that, check out his
Yeah.
Facebook
And I
page. He's
think
definitely
Yes.
yeah
because I know even Michelle Lyons, like she's somebody that
Yeah.
does, this work, and she's always like, ghosts are just people too.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we need to be respectful of spirit. And Jake, I know that, and probably Michelle, you too, you've gone on these places that you are known paranormal activity that maybe people aren't treating it respectfully. And like, how do you
Mhm.
guys work with that?
I mean, unfortunately for me, in the past, it was events that I was also an attendant with. Thankfully, it didn't necessarily get too far. I remember having an experience at the Shanley Hotel where this one couple was already a box of Franzia wine deep. Oh my God, it was really like a sitcom. I thought I was being punked. All of a sudden, fast forward to we're in the middle of the dark. This woman's yelling at the spirits, being like, "You can't have them. Let them go," like really yelling as if like she's like the little psychic lady from Poltergeist. So
This
funny.
house is clean. Sorry.
Her husband dead asleep in the other room, supposed to be having a recorder, dead asleep, you hear snoring.
Oh my gosh.
So there really are some wacky souls, but I think that the privilege with now kind of being able to go forward and kind of have something a little bit more isolated is hopefully that the company that you keep would be a little bit more respectful.
Well, and also now you
right?
have education. Like you may
Yeah.
not have
Yes.
known. I mean, now you know. Like I didn't know, like from Michelle's point of view, and until I spoke with her, and she was like, "Ghosts are just people too." And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
you're right. Like it's just it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
So, how about for you, Michelle?
Absolutely.
All these
Well,
Michelles.
I've all the Michelles.
All Michelles.
I've definitely had experiences where I've gone even on like ghost tours and everything. I had to make an incredibly long story short, I had a very like profound experience years and years and years ago, where everything just kind of like just synced up and we were able to get a very private tour of Houghton Mansion in North Haven, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And it's I now it's like you can't do those experiences now because somebody else bought the space. But
Mm.
there was a lot of different things that had happened that made me feel very connected to that space. And then the second time that I went, it was with the same people, but then there was a bigger tour that was there, and people were like, they just didn't care, and they're just like, it's like it was like they're walking through like a haunted house experience at the fair. And it's like, no, these are people that have lived in, like, unfortunately, like, I mean it's part of the draw, but the whole, when someone goes through tragedy, or a group of people have gone through some sort of tragedy, and we make an attraction out of it, it's very drawing. Like, I mean, I absolutely want to be a part of that, but also you need to be respectful of it, that yes, these were human beings that walked this earth, and now they're in their spirit world, also, like, kind of doing what they're doing. it matters. Like I had a very a deep connection with one of the spirits that had passed on the property, and the first time around, and I felt in his space incredibly protected, like in his room, and just very safe and very calm and at ease. The rest of the house, and especially the basement, freaked me the hell out. I don't get scared easily. It just, there was an energy there that just was not, but then the second time that we went around, I didn't feel him at all. I didn't hear him, I didn't see him, I did nothing. And because there were all these people that were basically making fun, they were making fun of his name. They were making, it's like, why do people think it's okay to bully a spirit?
Mhm.
Just because you might not be able to see or hear them or feel them, it doesn't mean that they're not there. And ghost hunting, ghost investigation, all that stuff, it is absolutely fascinating, but there needs to come some sort of reverence that comes with it, instead of just kind of going in all willy-nilly and be like, listen, ghost, like, no. Let's not do that, please.
Yeah.
So, do you guys ever feel compelled to help them cross over?
Yeah. Yeah. And
It depends. For me, at
it's
least. Sorry.
exactly not. And first of all, it's not just because I come across a spirit does not necessarily mean that they want to be crossed
Right.
over.
They might want to
Exactly.
be
You know,
there. I
Yeah.
get that.
it's
Yeah.
it's really that I kind of put out the PSA. Listen, if anybody needs assistance, you know where to find me.
Yeah.
But again, we're all human, so it's the same as if your grandmother's in her 90s, we're not necessarily going to go put her on hospice now just to push it along.
We're not going to push the morphine, guys.
Right,
No!
exactly. But yeah, and I even think that it's even so much as like whenever I come to a place or when I'm doing a house clearing for somebody, just from my practice, I will put down some tobacco and some cornmeal to offer to the spirits as a thanks. It's kind of like a housewarming gift. um I think it's a lot easier for people once you kind of put it into your framework that it's like, oh, these are real humans and I'm entering into their home essentially. So when you treat them like that, your conversations, the kind of evidence that you can get dramatically changes, because now the spirit has a little bit of familiarity with you, or might be a little bit more inclined to want to communicate with you versus coming in and maybe haha he heing essentially on their grave, you know.
Exactly.
Which is a
Exactly.
big difference.
So, with that being said, we are happy to announce that we are going to be doing some ghost investigating coming up in future episodes that we're super excited about. So, before we wrap this up, Jake, Michelle, anything that you guys want to add in about the spooky season and why you guys love Halloween or anything like that? Or what are you going to be for Halloween? I have to be a Harry Potter character because my niece is making me. And you know what's interesting?
Oh.
I have to tell you guys this. I always go to Buffalo for Halloween. I spend Halloween with my family in there because they love Halloween so much and they decorate. And it's I love the community family event of
Mhm.
Halloween. I think that's what I truly love about Halloween. It's fun, and like we get to trick or treating, and everyone just, it's like community is fun. Like they're sitting outside,
Yeah.
like the older people, and they have their fires going and they're giving out Twinkies, and you're like, yeah, like I just love it. So I will be a Harry Potter character. And what about you guys?
I don't know if I'm going to be anything, to be honest.
A
I think
witch.
yeah, my costume is just going to be a spooky gay witch.
I love it. I love it. Anything else, Jake, you want to add in before we wrap this amazing episode up?
Yeah, the long story didn't read version is take this opportunity to create ceremony, find some kind of ritual that makes you feel connected, an opportunity for you to find out new things about your practice, about yourself, journaling, asking questions. Shadow work is such a great time to do so too.
Yes.
This is really just an open love letter for you to get to know yourself, get to know your peeps in spirit, the people before you. Read historical things, read facts about your family, stories about your family. This is a time of remembrance, you know. And also for anybody that wants my stone recommendation, white howlite
Ooh,
is
that's a good
my
one.
Yes, it is
favorite.
a good one.
We're all like,
Yes.
I know, like, yes.
Yes. White
I love
howlite.
it.
Yes. White Highlight is my absolute favorite, especially for this time of year, doing that kind of really
I
introspective,
have a baby
juicy
one.
work.
I love
Oh
it.
yeah, it's great. I
And for
love
you,
it.
Michelle.
I mean, just to kind of like everything that Jake said,
Yeah. Just
naturally.
listen to Jake, guys. Is what
Just
we're
listen to
saying. Just
Jake.
listen to Jake.
But like, definitely.
What would Jake do? All right,
What
that's our motto.
I know
What would
that should be
Jake
the like
do?
the thing. What would Jake do? It definitely for me, kind of spurring off of that is not everything during this time of year and in the coming months. Um, it's not such a scary, depressing time, or it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be. I know that a lot of people like this is they don't like this time of year. They don't like Halloween because that means winter.
Mm.
But winter can be such a beautiful time because yes, journaling and doing shadow work and getting to know who you are and diving a little bit deeper and understanding that it's okay um to embrace that darker side of you because it's not as scary as everyone thinks it is.
Mhm.
And it's not as detrimental as everyone thinks it is. So and also, go like if you're interested in this stuff, just go seek it out. Like it's okay. You're not a weirdo. You're not like it's okay. The rest of us are out there. We're gonna be like, yeah, let's go do ghost hunting. That'll be fun. Like, So
And when
but do
you're
your
saying
thing.
that too, like darker doesn't mean bad. It means
Exactly.
to kind of bring in that aspect of yourself to balance out. Like
Absolutely.
100%.
that's where I think it's not dark. It's just look at a different aspect of yourself.
Yeah, because you can't always be light. Like it's just not
It's
physically
not all
possible.
unicorns and sunshine and
It's not.
rainbows. We
It
need to get
can't be.
spooky.
Yeah,
And
but
there's beauty in that, like the beauty in the gray and all that
Woo!
stuff. Like it's like,
Look at you
oh,
blending that
love.
in.
But it's just sorry, Jake. So what were we gonna say?
Yeah, sorry,
yeah,
sorry,
no,
Jake.
I
Sorry,
think
sorry.
that I love the way you just said though, because it's a perfect thing. It's kind of like this is the time of year where it's very like Wizard of Oz, where you pull the curtain back and you see the wizard for who it is.
Yeah.
It's taking a look at when we say shadow work, all of this stuff, it's really taking a look at parts of ourselves that perhaps maybe we have reserved shame, guilt, fear,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things under that umbrella about and attributed to. It's a really great way to kind of dig that up to the surface and really learn to be like, oh, this is a part of me just as equal as my joy, as my passions, as my adventure, as my love, all of this stuff. So it's a
Yeah.
really beautiful way to kind of integrate the spirit, and get to know yourself as a whole, right? Instead of just living life as one half in all light,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
Absolutely.
honestly, for anyone that's interested in learning more about this, I would recommend listening to our archetypes episode because we
Mm,
really dive
Mhm.
deep into this. There's decks that are recommended and practices. I would
Yeah.
honestly listen to that episode.
absolutely.
So, on that note, I hope everybody has a happy Halloween.
Stay
Bye.
You
spooky.
too.
That's
Yeah.
spooky.